Recently I've been playing Gunfire Reborn and holy shit, that game is incredible. But it immediately made me question, why aren't there more first-person shooter roguelike games? And they exist, but not really. When I think roguelike, I think top-down or 2D. I think Hades, The Binding of Isaac, or Rogue Legacy. And all of these games are incredible and I love them, but I also love FPS games. Call of Duty, Halo, Far Cry, Fallout, Overwatch, Zero Horizon Dawn, and I love these games. But there aren't any roguelikes that have mechanics like these games. Every first-person roguelike is cartoony and has that bouncy roguelike feel, which is great I guess, but where are the roguelike shooters which are styled more like classic FPS games? They don't exist, and they should exist. Please make that game, I want to play it. So I guess a different question is then, why don't any of these massive AAA titles have a roguelike game mode attached to them? And well, some of them kind of do. And when they do, it's waves of enemies which roll into town and are all aggressive and shit. Wave after wave in the same area or along the same pre-built level, and you just beat them back, getting better weapons and sometimes better skills, all the while the enemies just get stronger and you just see how long you can last, with some variants being indefinite and some having an end wave number you're trying to hit. And while like games like Gears of War and Halo have had this, the main FPS that does this is of course Call of Duty with Zombies. And I would argue that this is the closest roguelike experience in any AAA first-person shooter, and not so coincidentally, it also happens to be the most popular of any of these wave battle modes, which really begs the question, why don't any first-person shooters have roguelike game modes? So how is Call of Duty Zombies the closest to a roguelike anyway? Well, it's not really, it's pretty classic wave fighting stuff. You're in a predictable map which is always the same, and all the guns and ability upgrades are always exactly where you think, letting you plan the exact same route every time. Except for one factor, the mystery box. Whenever you start Zombies, no matter what game you're playing or what map you're on, you will always have one major goal which will be the same. Find the mystery box. This gives the player a random weapon which can either be amazing or absolute trash. And this gifting of a random weapon and the fact that most maps have the location of the mystery box zooming around randomly is what makes Zombies varied and different, and not just the same every time. And to me, the mystery box is a subtle but huge reason why Zombies is so fun, and clearly the pinnacle of all wave fighting in FPS history. But it's more than just this simple element which makes Zombies comparable to a roguelike. A classic feature of modern roguelikes is that even though you lose everything after every run, each run gives you some rewards which add towards a talent tree or something similar. Perhaps you unlock new items that can be found in future runs, or you get access to new characters to use. Zombies has messed around with this. The more that you play, the more you level up, the more that you unlock, and the better your character becomes for the runs. And this system certainly isn't unique to roguelikes. This is just classic tech tree RPG mechanics. Even Call of Duty's multiplayer has these mechanics firm in the game, with the unlocking of new guns and perks as you level up. So all the pieces are there, they would just need to convert them into a roguelike format, which for Call of Duty and Zombies, they obviously don't need to do. They're onto a winner, just stick with what's working. Now I've been focusing on Call of Duty, but any game could throw its hat into the FPS roguelike fad that is about to blow up. Let's say Overwatch 2. They've talked about adding PvE with large tech trees, which is cool and would be much cooler if applied to a roguelike game, rather than a standard run through the streets killing predictably spawning enemies and hoping you make it to the end of the map sort of gameplay, which they already have in Overwatch minus the tech tree, and it's fine. It's not super exciting. And please, single player games do this too. Many games are already aware that people just want to run around using their fun gun mechanics and try to facilitate that. It's why Far Cry has replayable outposts and why Fallout added Radiant quests. They're getting close to just fully committing to the ultimate replayability of a roguelike, but they're not quite there. So the new Horizon Zero Dawn, have your first DLC be a roguelike game mode rather than just just more story. I just want to blast down enemies with your really fun game mechanics and then be rewarded for it. And I want to do it over and over and over again with slightly different variations and changes to the experience via the way of random gun drops and skill upgrades from the tech tree. And guess what? You already have the tech tree and the guns. You're most of the way there. All you need is the randomly generated levels, which I get is an effort, but definitely not the hardest thing to do. All of this has almost been done before as well. BioShock Infinite had this DLC, but it is of course a wave format rather than a roguelike. And guess what? It's awesome, it's super fun, and if you haven't played it, I would suggest it, because it lets you just run around using guns to your heart's desires, while slowly upgrading your Booker DeWitt both inside the runs, but also outside the runs. Hours and hours of super fun replayability. But this isn't 2013 anymore, wave battles aren't going to cut it. So let's commit to the new ascent of endless gunfighting fun. Let's evolve, let's grow up, let's get some more roguelikes going, specifically first-person shooter roguelikes. There's a million top-down and 2D roguelikes, and maybe 8 FPS roguelikes, all of which have the same energy, and I'm ready for something different. And that's the video. Thank you for coming on this FPS roguelike spiritual journey. Hopefully you now see the light and are committed to the cause. If you are, then like the video and subscribe to the channel for more of this saucy content. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.